Everybody, welcome to our review of The Nun. I'm Danz Newz, aka Daniel Gidlow. This is my lovely co-host.
I'm Liz, aka Ninetales X Gamer.
Yeah!
Yeah! Woohoo! Ninetales!
This is gonna be mildly awkward. It's been a while. It's been a long while since we've done this.
It's been a while since I've been on camera.
You know, back when the first Conjuring came out, we did a review of that on your YouTube channel. I kind of want to. I want to see it now. Let's pull it up on here.
Oh God!
Welcome to our review of The Conjuring. I'm Dan. This is Liz.
Hi.
And we're gonna review The Conjuring. Oh my goodness! Look at us.
I kind of don't look any different, but
I was wearing a Batman shirt. You were wearing a DC shirt.
I'm wearing the same shirt.
You're wearing the same exact shirt. I mean, I'm wearing a much different shirt at this point.
That's fucking amazing.
That's pretty great.
My hair wasn't as curly as it is now.
Yeah, your hair's a bit poofier. My hair's a bit poofier.
You actually have like a full head of hair though.
I have a full head of hair.
I don't know. See, I was like.
We're here to talk about The Nun, movie directed by, oh my god.
Do you not know who directed The Nun?
J.A. Bayona came to my brain, but that's the guy who directed Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. This is the fifth movie in the Conjuring franchise. It's the third spin-off in the series. We've had The Conjuring, The Conjuring 2, and then the two Annabelle movies in between.
The director,
Corin Hardy. Yes,
Corin
okay.
Hardy.
I knew the name. I remember the name.
Look at the nun lady. Like, there was no prosthetics needed.
It popped up a thing.
No.
Yeah.
There was literally no
Bonnie,
prosthetic.
what's her name?
Bonnie Aarons?
Bonnie Aarons.
No prosthetics.
Well, just good makeup. Just
really
some good makeup.
Good,
She already has a really...
defining on her nose, too, because her nose is pretty prominent.
So she's just...
Perfect nun.
We watched The Conjuring 2 in preparation of this. We're pretty big fans of the Conjuring movies. I think we both really like the first two Conjurings. We like the Annabelles. I think you could probably take her like the first Annabelle.
No, I like the Annabelle. I don't like Annabelle Creations as much.
Oh, you don't like Annabelle Creation as much? You like the first Annabelle better?
Yeah.
Yeah?
That's the one that actually genuinely freaked me out.
I feel like...
The other one was kind of like,
Annabelle, the first one is like more of a movie. Second one's a bit more of a haunted house, like roller coaster horror ride sort of deal, I feel.
Very like tongue-in-cheek kind of.
It's playing with the audience a little bit. It's
Yeah.
winking at the audience while also trying to scare you. It's like, it shows that, that scarecrow early on, and you're like, the movie's like, this is coming back later. I thought it was really well done. That was by the guy, oh crap, I'm forgetting his name, David F. Sandberg.
The one who did not Get Out, Lights Out.
Lights Out, yeah.
The
Lights
short
Out.
that turned into an actual movie.
Yeah, and he's doing the upcoming Shazam movie as well.
Yes.
I think he's a very interesting filmmaker. Despite Lights Out being not that great, it also had some really good scares.
Yeah, it did.
Some acting.
It should have stayed a short, though.
And the story was a little wonky. But that's why I felt Annabelle Creation did pretty well, because... they continued on very well with what they had previously established with Annabelle before that. We were talking about this the other day. It was the characters. The characters are just really well fleshed out in that movie. In creation.
Okay.
You don't need that thick of a plot. You know, you just kind of scare
no.
orphans in an old house where death happened. Sort of deal.
Doll makers.
Yeah.
Scary.
And it works for
Pinocchio.
Now, in The Nun... thin story again, kind of just like a very basic story. There's a kind of this evil presence within this monastery out in Romania, wherever the hell it is. I don't know, Romania.
I think it was Romania.
Something like that.
I feel like it was Romania.
Barcelona. And so this guy, this French-Canadian, you have to distinguish that. French-Canadian guy who's
Frenchie.
He delivers food to the monastery, whatever, supplies every once in a while, and upon going there he finds the body of a dead nun who hung herself, and that causes the Vatican to send out a priest investigator and a non-nun
A nun who hasn't taken her vows yet.
Yes.
So she's in the process.
Played by Tasia.
Don't know how to pronounce her name.
I'm Thais Formiga.
Tasia.
I'm Thais Formiga. I'm Thais Formiga. I'm Thais Formiga.
Vera Farmiga's sister.
Vera Farmiga's sister.
That's all I'm gonna
yeah.
say.
I thought they were gonna maybe try to shoehorn a relation connection there, which would have been playing with reality. So I mean, since it's kind of somewhat based on true events, not that this is based on anything. The Conjurings are supposedly, with their investigations and all that stuff.
The evil nun is probably take it or leave it.
Do you think the nun? Well, I mean, I've heard of Annabelle is a thing. Annabelle is a Raggedy Ann doll, and so
that exists.
I remember talking about that during our Conjuring review. But is the nun based on anything real?
I think this was one of those things that they just created from Conjuring and then added it.
So this should have been the Nun creation from James Wan's brain. So the Nun was probably one of the highlights of The Conjuring too.
Yes.
I think some people laugh at that scene with the painting where it's running with the painting. You and I really like that scene.
I hate that scene.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
I mean, you hate it in the sense that it's
it's
scary.
Done well.
Yeah.
It's very well shot.
It escalates well, and it can be a little goofy with the running towards it, but at the same time, it's a little Pennywise almost, where he's just like,
where he just runs out of the water.
Because I think they do show a side shot in the movie where she's like...
They do, and that's probably where it kills it.
That's the shot, but it's because it's the way she's holding the portrait. And they had greenlit a Nun movie before I think Conjuring 2 came out.
Really?
Either that or right after the fact.
Probably right after.
I think it was so successful, and at this point, hey, they had some good imagery there, and this new Nun movie was the largest opening of all the Conjuring movies. So you're going to be hearing some rain. Sorry about that. It's raining quite heavily outside.
It's not a big deal. It adds atmosphere. Okay, maybe it doesn't.
Jesus Christ. So yeah, like we were setting up the story. Basic thing. Nuns committing suicide at this monastery or whatever.
They call it a nunnery.
A lot of the movie is nighttime, dark rooms, candlelit stuff. It's supposed to be, I think, the 50s. It's a really loose story. Only a handful of characters. There's only
5, maybe, max.
3 immediate main characters.
Yes.
A couple other characters that the characters interact with. Like the mains interact with. So when they first get there, there's the lady who runs the nunnery or whatever, who's wearing this all black veiled gown with there's some light coming to the side of her face, slightly lighting it up. And the characters don't think they seem to be a little like, what's going on here, madame? Or whatever they say to the head nun lady. And it's just like, they just buy it that's the lady and there's no issue, and they just go to their room and try to find other people.
They don't seem to
They're going to investigate a problem, and they seem to be taking everything as is.
Yeah.
And even the priest guy is constantly like, whoa, 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 whoa. I feel like
the priest guy kind of killed the movie for me.
You think he would have showed up and he would have been like, okay, I know what's going on because this is all very fishy. But they're all buying it the entire time.
Well,
so much of the time.
2 of them are buying it. Frenchie's like, guys, can we get the fuck out of here? This is a no.
But he's not part of the investigation.
No, I know.
He's leaving the second he gets there.
Well, yeah, but the first thing that they come into after he's put the nun somewhere that was hanging, try to preserve the body.
That was pretty good.
And then he's like, but I didn't leave her. Oh, yeah, well, rigor mortis does. No, it doesn't, you idiot. They just want to leave.
The nun who had hung herself,
he
took her down, put her in the ice house sort of deal. It's just
the delivery area.
Yeah, it's where he takes the food, and they have this big gigantic block of ice in there to keep everything cold and all that stuff. So she's sitting in here partially frozen and dead because birds been picking at her face or whatever. So when they come in, she's already sitting up dead, and you're like, this is where I left her. But he had left her there laying down. And the priest is just like, oh, well, this sometimes the bodies twitch. And he's like, that's a twitch? It's just like...
Well, even you're thinking, that's not a twitch. That's a big twitch. That's I sat up. I'm not
But
really
that's
dead.
the first excuse he's making. And, clearly things are clearly wrong there. But it's just, it keeps I don't know.
They seem to have like this weird veil over their own eyes of like, nah,
they seem
it's
to
not
be
that
very
bad.
Yeah.
It could be worse.
And just as an audience member, it's just like, oh my god, please. And like in these Conjuring movies and Insidious movies do an alright job a lot of the time to make your characters not that dumb as to not be doing that same cliche. At least Annabelle Creation had characters that I felt like were smart enough for a lot of the situations they were in. Sometimes, for the most part. There's some situations that don't quite resolve themselves the best. But this was the one that had the least connection with me as far as the scares and all that stuff. I could accept Annabelle Creation well enough as a roller coaster scares kind of movie. Because I feel like these Conjuring movies are very much popcorn horror, much like It or something like that. Yeah. I feel like these are the mainstream horror movies that are, like Scream or something like that back in the day. It's like these are the big movies that are coming out and are solid horror movie genre entries.
Right.
But they're not the indie,
No.
different variations of the
it's
genres.
It's not anything
of that.
like
it's
the
just
Babadook
the scare.
Or something like
it's
that.
like a roller coaster ride scare. That's why blockbuster horror movies.
It's a fun like a haunted house kind of thing.
Yeah. And I really feel like none was just chock full of too much stuff that make you go, what? Or I will say this.
Was there one genuine thing that
There
got
was
you?
a few genuine things that got me.
Yeah.
I did like the characters well enough, mainly Frenchie. Frenchie had my favorite line of any movie, I think, ever.
I think you were probably the only one who likes that joke.
It made me laugh
I
so
gotta
much.
say. Everybody laughed in the theater, though.
So the thing to get, originally, the whole thing is there's,
it's hailing.
It is hailing. Holy shit.
That's cool.
Sorry for the excess noise that's going on. We can't help the weather that's going on outside.
Colorado.
The ultimate thing that is kept
Takes down
kept Valak at bay in the first place was this old holy artifact that held the blood of Jesus Christ in it. So they used the blood to seal the seal
the
first time, and so that's what they need to do this time to seal the thing or whatever. And when they first find it, the priest and Frenchie are all there. And
the wall then opens up. The priest grabs the thing and he's holding it kind of like that moment. And he goes, Frenchie, he turns around and he goes, Frenchie goes, holy shit. And he goes, the holiest. Alright.
That is the holiest shit.
It was a very random moment
really
to have
random,
a funny thing.
But it was really funny. That was it was the delivery and the moment, and it was just, I liked that moment. Because
a lot of people laughed when we saw it.
Yeah, that had the biggest reaction out of
everybody else
the
was like,
There were some scare moments where people might have been like, oh, but, that was the biggest reaction, I think. That was kind of elongated. Sometimes you get scares where people keep laughing after the fact. Like in Hereditary, during that one, there was one moment in the movie where just out of nowhere, there was this random thing and nobody was expecting it, and everybody went, it got everybody, and it wasn't that loud. The after the fact, it was quiet. So, it's quiet in the movie. And so you hear that reaction of everybody and then everybody kind of chuckles because everybody could hear each other reacting. So the holy shit thing, I think everybody kind of laughed, and then I kept laughing.
Listening to some of those people that were in the theater when we watched this movie, there was some sort of scene, I can't remember which scene it was. The women behind us, you just hear them going, freaking out, and I'm just like, it's not that scary.
Yeah,
loud sounds are not scary.
We watch a lot of Mark Kermode.
Startling.
We watch a lot of Mark Kermode and Mark Kermode and Simon Mayo. Their BBC5 radio show that they do, and that's always one of his big criticisms against horror movies. Is just so much quiet,
Yeah,
constantly,
It's right in my ear.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
But it's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this did a lot of, unfortunately, the quiet, bang. A lot of that was this movie, which is really kind of saddening because it's not a necessary scare.
It was very loud,
Very loud.
The very beginning of the movie, that opening scare stuff. It's just or some sort of sound to accompany the scare.
Like you walking around a corner and you're building the tension, and then you either get nothing, you get the friend who, oops, sorry, Steve.
Which, luckily, that doesn't happen too much during any of these movies,
No,
which is what I'm
thank
saying. They avoid a lot of those cliches sometimes.
The cat jumping at you or the birds.
Cat!
You could have a subtle scare of it just being creepy. and then maybe a 1 or 2, but it doesn't need every single time you see the nun just a loud sound.
And they have those
doesn't
moments.
Need it.
And they have those moments where like they do that little build up where it's like, whoa.
See, and I don't like those.
Like those are that's fine.
No, I don't. No, they're fine.
You just don't like.
I don't like growing sounds. It's like that TRX thing or whatever that
THX.
It's THX where it just like grows and it just never stops, kind of thing. So anytime the nun's music pops up, I have a problem with it because it's just it makes me uncomfortable.
It had a lot of kind of some ineffective scares and / kind of mildly annoying scares. Nothing that was really that great was the kind of thing. Like I feel like the graveyard thing wasn't that great.
That was really stupid.
Like the graveyard thing was kind of dumb, and the characters running around like, "Where's the bell? Where's the bell?"
And that's the thing with this nun is she has this visions. She gets visions.
I realized that one vision I had that said Mary points the way.
The 2 visions that they showed.
Yeah.
Which was one of them her trying to find the priest, and then she knew where the bell was. I'm like, it has a.
Despite
this is very convenient that you know where you should know where he is. It says his name on this thing, but all right.
Her visions and his traumatic past with the bad, the exorcism gone wrong thing.
Yeah.
Outside of them showing the exorcism and then afterwards saying, he sustained injuries and died. Like, why? But why didn't you just show us that then? Probably could have made both work a bit better if you gave a little bit more to it. The movie feels cheap.
Oh, yeah.
The movie feels like the cheapest out of all of these. Even Annabelle Creation, like it was in a barn house, so they had that, and they had the outside. But I think they went on location. I think they did go to like Romania, wherever the fuck. To film this. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But it's super cheap because you have like 4 actors and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of additional stuff that they could really do for the movie. It just seemed really pared down and basic.
With all the stuff that they hyped up for this movie and the nun just being fucking terrifying. Like the lady itself and the makeup and everything, she's fucking creepy. Mm-hmm. It's great makeup. Still great makeup in this movie.
You think not enough nun? I feel like not enough
nun
nun still.
There was not enough. There was maybe
There's
like
probably about
4
as much
scenes
nun as
or
there was
less.
in Conjuring 2.
Exactly. That's what everyone's problem
The focus wasn't on the nun in Conjuring 2.
Not the best way.
Let's talk about the climax before we talk
the climax.
About that. So the seal has been flooded. The seal room is flooded now.
From the war.
From the war.
Which
because
is why
the monastery had been bombed.
It before, and then
World War II happened. It had been bombed,
and then the seal has now been broken, and that's when everything kind of.
Was it World War II or was it
the seal broke?
Oh no, it would have been war. It would have been the war because it was 1950 something, 51, 52. So yeah, the nun has been growing in power and
released again, and Valak, not the nun. Valak is just taking form of the nun, a nun. The nun. Yeah. So yes, it's flooded somehow, but just probably because of all the rain.
So yeah, they have this big fight down there. The nun's choking out the other nun girl. She has the thing. Did Frenchie throw it to her or something? The thing with the blood is like underwater with her, and she somehow she's being strangled. The nun's strangling her.
She brings her up. The water,
she brings her up for some reason. I don't know why. And then she spits the Jesus blood, which she had in her mouth. She got into her mouth somehow. So this blood was like encased in this glass
There was a glass egg around
with a vial of the blood. Yeah, with a cross of the vial of the blood. Yeah, it was a vial cross.
It was kind of like one of those like Ukrainian eggs.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
So she had somehow broken it open, taken out the vial, put the blood in her mouth. While she was being strangled by the nun under the water, the nun would have been able to see all of this, you would think, outside of the...
Well, my thought is, too, that the blood would have hit the water eventually.
Yeah, well, I mean, you'd be able to maybe get the vial and suck it out or something like that. But yeah, you'd probably be able to see some of the blood in the water. Also, Valak would have seen all of this stuff. Like,
no, she was like this. She was like
breaking it open, grabbing it. How do you get suction when you're being strangled?
When she had the thing and she lifted it, at the first time that when Valak brings her up, I would have hit her in the face. Valak even watched her reach for it. He looked at it when she lifted it. Then she stuck it back under the water.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, okay.
Could have been better. That, and I think, what happened to the priest right there? I think something had happened to dispatch.
The priest,
something stupid had happened.
This Daniel kid keeps popping back
yeah.
from his past, so he's still being taunted by this because Valak's like, oh, that's your weakness. Here you go. Here's the thing.
Hello, Daniel.
The kid popped up, so they all finally converge after they all smartly separate. Immediately, as soon as they find this thing, they separate off because they're stupid. And
they literally did we'll cover more ground if we split up. There's a similar line to that. And I was just like, oh my god, please don't!
It was literally this, when I saw it, I was like, that's exactly the scene from Cabin in the Woods where he goes, we have to stay together, and then he goes,
no matter what happens, we have to stay together. This isn't right. This isn't right. We should split up. We can cover more ground that way.
Yeah. Yeah, good idea. Really?
So once they finally have converged again, she's being drowned. Frenchie's been thrown against the wall, so he's useless right now. And then...
I just thought of Frenchie from Grease getting thrown against the wall. Where's Rizzo? Frenchie was the beauty school dropout, right?
Yeah, that's Frenchie.
guys.
Anyway, but then the kid comes back and he's been vomiting snakes every time he's been seen. He spits up a snake. So the snake finally comes out of the kid's mouth and knocks him in the eye, and he's got a snake on his eye, which is what he's struggling with. Yanks it off. His eye's now a different color, and he's on the ground and he's done for a while. And then she's still being.
It was a little weird. I thought he was gonna have a damaged eye. It literally just changed the color of it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
it made it
damage.
milky, kind of blue with the white iris
sort
of deal.
I don't fucking know, man. The whole ending was very we have to do something. We have to put her in this more because she hasn't been in this movie that much.
Yeah. And then ultimately, much like the other two spin-off movies do, the other two Annabelle movies both have this kind of ending where it's and then this is how it connected to all the other things.
Yeah.
First Annabelle, you have this is how the doll
came to the girls.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Came to the girls at the hospital or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
And then in the end of the second one, this is Annabelle Higgins, and the girl from Annabelle Creation is really Annabelle Higgins, and she grows up to be that girl. So whatever from the first Annabelle movie.
Yeah.
This one takes footage from the first Conjuring movie. There's footage at one point where they're talking about how...
They're doing a seminar at a school.
They're having a seminar at a school and talking about how Lorraine was, and they kind of talk about this later in the movie, too. It's Lorraine was kind of deeply touched by this one case that kind of put her off some stuff for a while. They reveal that this footage that's shown from the beginning of the first movie, where it's they're showing this case where this guy's tied up in this chair and he's freaking out. They're performing this exorcism sort of deal. And then he grabs Lorraine and starts, shaking her or whatever.
They didn't state that he was French-Canadian or anything.
I think they did say French-Canadian.
Did they say that originally?
They did. Yeah, they said it was French-Canadian. So that was the thing.
And he spoke perfect Italian or something.
Take Maurice here. He's a French-Canadian farmer, had nothing more than a third-grade education. Yet after he was possessed, spoke some of the best Latin I'd ever heard, sometimes backwards. The dark spirit made its home in this man. So
they end up saying Frenchie was this guy, and they did some reshoot stuff where they add Frenchie in the scene where he's the guy in the chair. But they also used a shot, the establishing shot was the first shot from the movie. They show Ed and Lorraine presenting this stuff. I don't think any of that was reshot. I think that was them just reusing it.
I think everything on the projector.
And it was the original video there, too, until they cut to the close-up. And it's it was Frenchie in the movie, and he had the thing on his neck. Because I think they do show in the movie, they show his neck and they show the upside-down cross or whatever.
At the end of the movie, they show... I don't like when movies do this, but they do.
They showed when...
When Valak was grabbing him and he spit a snake into his mouth, which we never saw because they showed that same scene and that didn't happen. Okay, so did I blink and miss it? And then he went like this and smacked his neck and kind of itched it, and they show this cross that starts to raise up on the back of his neck, and then a whip and... here's the connection.
Yeah. Frenchie is the reason why Valak even lived on and got away. Wouldn't it have been amazing, though, if it was the same actor from that?
Would have been a lot better, I think.
Probably wouldn't have worked exactly, because they just cast that role for a small thing in the first movie.
Yeah.
They had no intention of actually connecting it to anything.
Right.
They didn't know they were going to make a nun movie and try to connect it into the thing. So it ultimately creates a little bit of a disappointing movie, especially as far as the Conjurings go, because I feel like every single one has been solid. Every single one has something going for it, whether it's the actors, the direction behind the camera, visuals, the scares, obviously. Each one has moments.
They have a good atmosphere.
Yeah.
They all create a atmosphere. This didn't really feel like it had one.
I'd still say I'm still excited for any future entries. I think they're still saying they're going to make a Crooked Man movie.
I'm excited for that. I'm not overly excited. They could go a lot of like grim fairy tales with that.
They could
much.
go 1800s with that. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like if they, I don't know though. I don't know where.
But I mean, it's just a fairy tale thing, so they could easily go very like fairy tale kind of.
Yeah.
Spooky, dark fairy tale with it.
Yeah.
I think it would look good. Especially with the actor, because that's a real actor.
Yeah, dude.
That guy was gross.
We watched those
looking,
special
man.
features. That guy was so skinny.
Ugh.
The guy who plays the Crooked Man.
Scary as fuck.
Is seriously like, it looks like it's
Super
like this
tall.
big puppet or a CG thing, but he's wearing just skin tight clothing that is, and he has such minimal body fat and muscle that he's
so
just this
weird.
rail thin dude, and he has such long arms and legs. And he can just go...
He can contort very well.
It's insane. I remember when Conjuring 2 came out, they mentioned they were going to make a Crooked Man movie and a Nun movie. I was like, I can see the Nun. Crooked Man, I understand why now. After watching that special feature, I was like, if I were the casting person or the person,
use this guy.
a producer making this movie, it's like, this is too great of a actor to not, like, of this look. It's kind of like the Nun. The image of the Nun is so, like, well done that you know it just will sell.
They have particular, like, features of everything.
Yeah. So, like, if I were the director, I would be like, we need to make a movie around this because this is too good of an opportunity to waste. I don't think, if you recommend it, would you recommend it, Liz?
If you enjoy something fun and stupid, go ahead.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's a bad movie. It's just one of those fun. I make fun of these kinds of things.
It still has scares in it. It's not ineffective. It's just, as a fan of this series,
it's not what you want.
And especially when you're watching the Insidious series and you kind of see those get a little not worse and worse as they go. I feel like that last one was probably the weakest, but I feel like sometimes they kind of overstay their welcome. Maybe the Nun need a little bit more tooling before it was released, and or made. I feel like they probably needed a better concept.
I'd say if you're a fan of the series, you're probably not going to enjoy it because there's about as much Nun as you got in The Conjuring 2. And she doesn't do anything, and I'm tired of seeing demon faces on people.
I probably wouldn't recommend it for theaters at the very least. Maybe at home, something like that.
Yeah, fun viewing at home.
Rental. Wait for it to come on Netflix. There you go. Either way, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the review. What'd you think of The Nun? Be sure to post your thoughts in the comments below. See y'all later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I hope you're all doing well. I love you. Oh, it hurts. The Nun. Are you the Nun?
Bye.
Requiescatam pace.